Hey, Guy. Hey, congratulations for LX 2048.
Thank you so much, man.
I, I,
Appreciate it.
I I feel like all the stuff that we're going through, that this is actually going to happen next year. Might as well that the sun actually
Yeah, I mean,
kill us.
we should have called it LX 2020, I think, instead of 2040. Could have been a prophetic title. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this. It's funny because when I wrote the script, um, obviously I imagined the near future having a certain satirical aspect of what I was trying to capture there, but it's painfully becoming reality every day now. I mean, just today, are you? I don't know where you are. I'm in LA. Like for the first time in my life, I think 3 days ago, I was looking at the air index quality. Because of all the fires, I was like, this is just—it's not really happening. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm actually in Fresno, so we have that big 200,000 acre
Oh wow, man.
fire. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's about 30 miles away from me. So that's
Are you guys checking this? Like I didn't even know what it was until this week. Now I'm looking at the phone if it's 160 or like I know some parts it's the 300s, but it's just insane. And then like last weekend was or 2 weekends ago was the hottest weekend in recorded history in California. I don't know what to tell you, man.
well, it's actually pretty cold. Surprisingly, it's supposed to be like hundreds of degrees, but it's now like it feels like 70. So, and that's
Oh, right now, okay, because
yeah,
of what's going on.
yeah. So where was the original idea came from for LX 2048?
So oddly enough, it actually started with the human aspect. I originally the kind of genesis of the idea came from I'm a family man. I have 3 kids of my own. I'm very happily married, but as all family men, you start having this kind of social circle of a lot of other families around you, a lot of couples and all that things of that nature. And I think a couple of years before I started writing the script, it was just this kind of phase where you get to a certain age, and a lot of couples around us were having a lot of difficulties. Close friends, not so close, what have you. But it just felt like there was a season of divorce going on. And immediately as things of that nature happen, you obviously kind of look inside yourself and try and understand, measure yourself in comparison. But also I got to speak with a lot of these friends of mine that were going through these very different reasons for why their relationships didn't work. But one thing that was kind of clear to me as a through line was this idea that adults within those relationships felt like they weren't living up to their own expectation of who they should have become or what they could have become. And that was the beginning of it. And I think, thinking about that and thinking about the age we live in, even prior to now, I just felt this whole technological revolution, this idea of gradually limiting our old social interaction into the digital world was going to have some sort of an effect on the way we interact with other human beings. Of course, now we're living through a living example of it, but that was the beginning of it for me.
So how did you come up with the title LX 2048? I mean, that's an unusual year to choose.
No, the year I deliberately did not kind of say what year we were in the film itself. The LX came from Lithium X, which is this kind of medication that is being handed. And again, this is so crazy, but just so you know, I've just spoken to a friend of mine who's in the pharmaceutical industry, and he told me about that they're trying to come up with a medication now that you'd have to take so that you don't get corona instead of a vaccine on a daily basis, like taking vitamin D or something. But I imagine that in a world where we can't go outside during daytime and we're all kind of like, enclosed in such a quarantine, that there would be some sort of a global state of depression. So then the governments would have to issue some pill to keep everybody balanced so nobody goes out to the streets and, starts going mad. So that was where the LX came from. And in terms of 2048, when pushed against the wall, I thought this is 3 years after Singularity, so that makes sense to where the reality of the film could exist in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I love the play with obviously 1948, which is the year that 1984 was written, and I thought like we're like 100 years later. Look where we are.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, obviously, this is a sci-fi film, and people always expect science fiction into
Mhm.
this. Could you talk about the various future tech that you try to incorporate into the film?
So there's two things actually that were in my mind when I was kind of thinking about the world. First of all, I very much, regardless of the fact that this is like an indie or whatever, like it wasn't necessarily just even a budgetary thing. I don't buy into the idea that 25 years from now, the world is going to be inherently different than the world we live in today from an outside view, right? So I didn't think, you go back 25 years to 1995, the world wasn't so much different. So I don't like films that go 30 years into the future and suddenly you have flying cars and people wear clothes that look like they were manufactured in the metal industry or something like that. So I wanted to stay just close enough to the world we live in. I think the Hyperloop train was my contribution to what I think can happen to transportation.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also feel like we're gradually going into advances within this kind of computer reality. So for me, virtual reality is the natural progression of tablets and phones and our laptops. And I just wanted to take that one step further into a place where it's a little bit more wireless and more so like it's now replaced the old screen that we're talking through right now. And with these two things in mind, I thought to myself, with the world that I'm creating, the outside world, the architecture, what have you, that actually might even go back, because I was thinking about, I don't know, shopping malls. And I was saying to myself, I don't think we'll have shopping malls 30 years from now. I think everybody will buy stuff online and get it, shipped to their home. So
Right.
then what would happen with those places that we used to go to? Like, how would they look? Most of them would still exist, kind of like, unfortunately, like old movie theaters, so.
So tell me about the challenges of, because since the sun is so dangerous, you have to do a lot of nighttime shoots and indoor shoots. Talk about doing all
Oh,
that.
that was so difficult. It's because first of all, you imagine this universe to have a different kind of world order, but we're not still nocturnal animals. So your entire crew and your cast, they kind of have to leave by night for this shoot, and people are still not used to it. So it's like, that was one difficulty. And then the second thing is we were shooting a large portion of the film in Northern Europe. And over there, as I discovered too late, the sun during the kind of the months that we were there, you have nighttime for 3-4 hours basically, like absolute dark. That's it. So then that necessitated. I was considering doing it anyhow, but we had to build the set for the main home of Adam Bird, because there was just no way to shoot all those scenes without being able to control the light. And it was very important to me that we were able to see outside his window. So then now you have this kind of very difficult choice that you face on even much bigger films, where like, do I do this with green screen
Mm-hmm.
and remove any sort of kind of reality to my actors? Or do I go the old school route and kind of use the translight and all that type of stuff? So that was an interesting. There was a lot of these types of challenges, but I was very pleased with where we kind of landed, and I also thought there was a nice thing to having an old school set as part of this kind of science fiction movie. There was a little bit of a tongue in cheek thing in there, in that, for me at least.
Absolutely. I love James Darcy, but I want to hear from you why he's perfect for the role, because he's practically, I want to say, like 95% of the movie.
He is the movie. I mean,
Yeah.
let's just call it what it is. And I am so pleased that you appreciated this performance, because I think, I mean, he's been a tremendous actor for years. I think for the most part, he's been doing a lot of indies, but for the most part, you know, audiences know him from a lot of big movies where he's playing a lot of times these supporting roles. We were actually discussing a different project of mine that was a bigger film where he was going to play a very big supporting role, but still a supporting role. And that film got postponed, and I had this script that I was already working on for LX. And you know, getting to know James as a human being and as a person behind the artist, I just couldn't escape the feeling that he would just be perfect in this role. And I knew that he had that range where he can go, you know, 180 degrees into a different character, and he can command the stage and do the Shakespeare part of it and all that stuff. And I just thought it was kind of a role that he was born to play. And I hope that I was right. But, you know, I hope that if nothing else, people appreciate his performance because he is the film, you know.
Yeah, I'm very amazed with his versatility. So you made a great choice. Well, let me wrap it up with one more question, because watching the film, I feel like we are living LX 2048 right now with the virtual indoors, everything. So I want to know is, during times like this, how are you staying sane and creative? Because after watching this film, I'm amazed I'm actually sane.
No, this is a great question. I think I feel very lucky that I'm a writer just because it allowed me. I mean, for the first month, I think I was just kind of probably like everybody else, just a little bit in a state of you know, it was just shocking, you know, so a little bit kind of shell shocked. And then I said to myself, like, look, you have all this time on your hand right now and you're stuck at home anyhow. Why don't you just put your head down and keep creating new materials until and this too shall pass, hopefully. So, you know, that's what I did. I was lucky enough that this film was already, I literally finished the mix and everything, you know, a month into the pandemic already. So I was busy doing that for a bit. That kept me a little sane. And then there was a TV show that I developed that is in active development right now that I handed the final draft of the pilot, like I think also in April or something. So I was kind of, until April, I was okay. And then since then, I gotta say, I've been able to write quite a bit. So I now have a couple of these screenplays that probably came out of this reality. You know what I mean?
Well, I think you've done an excellent job. Hey, congratulations on LX 2048. I think it was very mesmerizing, and I love the twists towards the end of the movie. So
Fantastic.
So
thank you so much, and thanks for all the thoughtful questions. And hopefully, you guys up in Fresno, you know, that this will kind of you know, will go over smoothly and quickly.
Well, I feel a little bit safer than Los Angeles, but not that much, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure, Guy. Hey, next time, all right?
Thank you, man.
Okay, bye now.
Bye.